My contention is that there was no overall plot, no overall nefarious oppression of women by men as a whole.
Look at that. Hey guys, AJ here back with another one for you. So guys, this is part 2 of Rachel Wilson debating these male feminists, right? These knuckleheaded clowns, these morons, these
Beta!
and these dunderheads are absolutely embarrassing themselves. So there's nothing worse than the wokey wokes trying to woke-splain oppression, right? How many times, guys, I am black, right? I've had these white chicks trying to woke-splain oppression. Oh, AJ, you're oppressed! Or these male feminists trying to explain to a conservative chick how oppressed she is. Absolute clown world. So, guys, when we last left off, this soy boy here, he was getting cooked, right? Hey guys, we'll get back into this because I think there's 2 more. So we'll get into this, guys. But before we do, like, subscribe, drop a comment. Guys, I have a second channel called 50 and 304s. Please go and check that out. Just link in the description. Check out the playlist at the end. Join my Discord. And guys, I'm offering memberships now. So hit the join button or the link in the description because memberships really help the channel out. I appreciate all you guys that are already members. And let's get into this.
Rachel, if feminism wasn't a response to oppression, why the hell does feminism exist?
I'll tell you why. There was a small group of radical revolutionaries who felt that the current system prior to this that we had through all of history was inherently oppressive to women because they felt that women and men were equal, that they're basically the same, they just have different reproductive organs, right? And that's really the only difference. They should be anything a man could do, a woman should be doing. This is a very arbitrary stance to take, and if you look historically at what rights men and women had, I think you could argue men were more oppressed than women prior even to feminism.
Seriously?
Yes, 100%.
Men were, in what way? How were men more oppressed than women?
Well, women haven't ever been conscripted to go fight and die in wars, and especially prior to feminism, that was a really brutal thing. About 80% of men historically have ended up it's 60% of men historically have never been able to reproduce. They've never had the opportunity, whether it's because they died young as cannon fodder, couldn't get a wife, weren't selected to be married. Women, all you have to do is be fertile, and you're going to have progeny. You're never going to be sent to the front lines in a war that you don't want to fight in. They don't have to work in coal mines. They don't have to do the dirty, dangerous jobs that men have to do.
Women are very
Now, guys, do you think that this guy has ever done a dangerous, laborious job in his entire life?
Beta! What does that have to do with feminism and how it came about?
You can't claim that women are oppressed and also claim that they're privileged.
Definitely were oppressed. Do you disagree?
How could they be privileged and be oppressed?
Wait. Do you disagree that women were never oppressed?
Yes,
Do you agree?
I agree.
You agree? Wait, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that women have never been oppressed?
Yes. I believe that women were never.
Seriously?
Yes, as a
How
whole
could you
group.
possibly
Who
think to
oppressed
believe
them?
that?
Who oppressed them? Listen,
half the
I saw.
Guys, nature oppressed men and women. Famine, disease, natural disasters, right? The weather. Men and women historically had to work together to beat nature. That's how it worked. We didn't have time to oppress each other because we were fighting off other tribes, but mostly we were fighting off the earth.
Your thing with Andrew, and you love to do this thing where you're like, but my presupposition, like you've never examined why you believe that. No. Why do you believe women were oppressed? You tell me why you believe that.
This is literally a historical fact.
It's not a historical fact.
Not having the right to vote. Women are oppressed currently in this world, right?
Oh, explain.
Right? Less so.
I'd love to know how.
What do you mean?
Any
they
example?
Can't drive. They can't go out without.
They can't drive?
In certain countries, absolutely, women are oppressed.
Are you
Where?
There you go. And there goes that moving the goalpost. And guys, like, what is this guy's problem? Why can't he formulate a sentence, right?
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
Really denying that women are not oppressed in this world. In certain
we're talking
obviously
about
in America, right?
America,
I'm an American.
Right.
Women have equal rights, and I think this is a great society. But to suggest that women have not been oppressed in the past in this country,
we're in the West. Yeah, in this country.
In the past in this country, and throughout the world currently, to suggest that they're not oppressed is absurd.
Show me an example of American women. That's not an argument. Show me an example of American women ever being oppressed comparatively to men.
There's a time in this country where women can't vote.
There was time in this country where men couldn't vote.
So
the majority of men could not vote.
That is not a retort. That is just saying, well, that's true. You basically just said that's true, but. So you basically.
Guys, rate this guy on the simp-o-meter.
It's over 9,000!
You agree with me.
I asked you. How were men oppressing women if those men themselves didn't have the right to vote either? So men with no voting rights oppressed women with no voting rights?
No. You asked me to give you an example of when women were oppressed, and I did. And then
by whom?
Your response was just that, yeah, men were oppressed too.
Yeah. So how could feminism be a reaction to oppression by men?
How is it not?
Because they weren't oppressed. Women have always been privileged compared to men. Always.
Women?
Throughout all of history, yes.
No.
Yes.
Come on.
What do you mean, come on? Like I said, women don't have to.
This is woke-splaining, right? This guy right here, he has no talking points. He has no argument. All he's doing is saying this verbal diarrhea that his college professors taught him, right? And he can't fathom that Rachel Wilson's a woman and just doesn't agree with him. Because according to him, all women agree with his verbal diarrhea feminist talking points, guys, right?
Never had to die in battle.
Go live in the Middle East and tell me that same thing. That's insane.
You could argue that they're even privileged there comparatively to the men.
Stop, you don't believe that.
I do believe that. Absolutely. Where in the Middle East and what are you talking about? Are you talking about the Taliban? Are you talking about Saudi Arabia? Saudi Arabia has become very progressive and women there can work and they can drive.
Go to Afghanistan and tell me women are privileged.
Well, how are they not?
Stop it. This is a rhetorical question. She's asking the same question.
Who are you appealing to here?
The camera.
So if let's say
she said, "Who are you appealing to here, dude? This guy's getting cooked. He's getting cooked."
Stupid.
Let's just grant you that the Taliban is an oppressive regime.
Literally grant me that they're an oppressive regime? Seriously?
Well, you would have to take into account all the ways that men are also oppressed under the Taliban regime, which you could argue is much worse.
That, but that's not the point.
They are sent to fight and blow themselves up and die for things that they probably don't want to if they had the choice.
What about it?
But let's stick to America because the topic was, it's more here. So in the United States, women have never been oppressed. Do you know that women have always had higher rates of literacy? Okay.
Of course not, right? Of course not. Because this guy, once again, hey guys, look at this guy. Do you think that this guy has any other way to get chicks other than try and be like, yeah, man, I'm like an enlightened dude, bro. I do like yoga, bro. I don't like, like Andrew Tate, bro. He's like such an asshole, bro. All these red pill guys, they don't understand that women are like so oppressed, bro. And I understand it because I'm into like astrology.
Beta male.
Come on.
Greetings.
Hello.
Hello. Can you please repeat the question?
So the prompt is...
Wow. Have you guys ever seen so much soy in one pack?
Feminism or women's liberation was not a reaction to oppression by men.
It can be.
What?
Could the oppression be of a different form that led to this revolution?
That's logically possible, but you'd have to give me an example or demonstration of how you think that's the case.
Okay. How about the failures of institutions that has occurred? For example, the separation of church and state, the failure of the church to educate these women has allowed them to be victimized by those who obviously desire divisions.
Why do you think women weren't allowed?
Guys, what do you think that he just said?
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
Allowed to be educated.
Well, I do believe they should have been educated.
They were educated. I was actually just about to tell the guy who sat down before you, women have historically always had higher rates of literacy and high school graduation for as long as we've been tracking in this country, which is about 1790. So we're talking about the early founding of the nation. Women were...
And the reason why, guys, is because oftentimes young boys would drop out of school or barely even finish school, and they would go to work in the fields. Guys, why do you think the Amish, they go to school until what, 8th grade or 7th grade? And then that's it, because they have to work. And oftentimes the young girls stayed in school, right? They would stay in school, and they would be like secretaries or paralegals, whereas the guys were working blue collar jobs. Women have always had a higher basic literacy rate. You know what I mean? Come on, man. What are you talking about?
Actually more educated than men. And part of the reason for this is women were the ones that educated children, and they weren't sent off to, work in infrastructure jobs or farming at, 12 or 14 years old, the way that men were. They weren't having to go and die in battle or anything like that. So women being at home got more education than most men historically.
Understood. Now, could that have been corrupted from the beginning? For example, would be beginning, middle, and end of a story. Education begins at a format where you began, depending on the topic that you have a desire to learn, or at least.
What the fuck are you talking about? Guys, what is he talking about?
Stupid.
What are you... Boy, guys, this is what happens with these, especially younger, TikTok debaters and all this other stuff. This guy is probably used to being on TikTok with his little mute button, you know what I'm saying? And just blah, 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 blah. What is he even talking about?
You should have been taught. Could that have been manipulated form of education that has occurred and people weren't aware of it, and that in due time this revolution, feminism, was just an expected outcome that could have been prevented but never was addressed?
What?
I really don't know what you mean by that.
What I mean is...
So guys, look at that, dude. Rachel was like, I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. So she basically said,
Some people are really fucking stupid.
is someone lied to these women.
Oh, yes,
whether it be
absolutely.
themselves or a combination of both, and or
Yes.
another third party that desired their outcomes, just
Yeah.
using them as pawns to
Yeah,
meet their
I
ends
think
of the
that's definitely true, and that's one of my evidences for the fact that feminism was not some kind of grassroots reaction to abusive oppression by the evil patriarchy. So
Okay, so evil patriarchy. Is there an opposite of evil patriarchy, which is a good patriarchy?
I think we've always had a benevolent patriarchy. I think it's been framed that patriarchy, which just means rule.
and that's true, guys. Because, guys, the average 14-year-old boy can walk up to any chick, right? And, right? And yet it doesn't happen. The average man, right? Guys, look at what happened in Afghanistan. If men chose to, we can have that happen here, but we're so benevolent that we don't let it happen, that we don't do it. So I would say, yes, there is a benevolent patriarchy.
By the father has always been some kind of evil and nefarious attempt to just keep women down and make them into slaves, when that was honestly never the case.
Would you agree that is the role, rules and regulation of the father to guard and protect his daughter, and obviously his wife, who's going to being the bearer of his children?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what if that father got corrupt?
Well, there's always going to be some corruption and hierarchy.
And there's usually a system put in place to check him. Because, guys, if a father raises his daughter, remember that a woman's supposed to go from her father's house to her husband's house, okay? And his daughter marries a guy, and the guy's not holding up his end of the bargain, and he's doing bad stuff to his kids and his wife. Guess what? The wife's father and brothers go over there and get over here, take care of him. That's how it's always worked. That's how it's always worked.
It's unavoidable. That doesn't mean the whole hierarchy is bad.
Okay, so at what point will the whole thing be corrupt?
I think
What?
that's kind of a slippery slope type of a fallacy where it'd be pretty hard, or a continuum fallacy where it may be hard for you to prove a point. But my contention is that there was no overall plot, no overall nefarious oppression of women by men as a whole. So if you can tell me where there was.
Well, wouldn't it
This guy's talking to himself and he thinks he's saying stuff. You're not saying anything. You absolute dunderhead.
Would be, let's go to Christian ethics, where technically we're at war. Technically, Christianity at war, a division of good and evil.
What?
You have an opponent that is obviously an essential essence, a living entity, who decided to do evil and desires to breed death and destruction. Manipulating certain individuals, let's say, desire greed and wealth or power. May that be a combination, whether or not.
Guys, okay. I can't be the only one that's completely lost, right? What this guy is saying. He's one of those guys that tries to sound smart. He tries to use, like, not even big words, but buzzwords to try and sound smart, and then put them together in a way that sounds intelligent. What is he talking about?
Gullible.
You guys remember in Living Color where Damon Wayans played that guy? And now we're talking about the masturbation of the slippery slope of the slide deck of the Chevy Malibu consistency.
Human beings, well, let's just say women who weren't properly taught to rebel in different form of ways, like feminism.
Sure.
And there's no safeguarding because obviously the separation of church and state allowed this because the church has failed in their own aspect as well as the nation. They allowed these problems to being stirred.
What?
Well, you
As
could
these
say that, you know, the Protestant foundings of the nation and the idea of separation in church of state was a bad idea. I
Correct.
don't know that that's relevant to the claim that most people make, which is that feminism was simply a reaction to abuses of men oppressing women. So,
Well, could the reaction be forthcoming? Could have been like forewarned. Negligence may have occurred.
I mean, it could.
Good,
I don't know what
possibly.
it has to do with the prompt. Sorry.
Once again, guys, this dude is an absolute dunderhead. What an idiot. Guys, we are all dumber for having listened to that moron right there.
Some people are really fucking stupid.
Come on, dude. Come on. But all right, you guys let me know what you think. You know? I would say tradcons are the worst, but male feminists are up there too. Because, guys, they're all full of it, right? All of them try and give off this whole, swooping in to defend chicks.
Here I come to save the day.
But we all know it's cap, guys. Well, all right, you guys, this is AJ. I appreciate you guys. Like, subscribe, guys. I'm out of here. Have a good one.